Today in EVE Online, Thursday, March 5th, 2020. I am Metterall. Okay, the big news today is that a new eviction in Wormhole space has started, and it's a big one. This is TSDIN, I think. The scary Wormhole people, that's another name for their corporation, are under attack by, of course, Inner Hell with the help of Hard Knocks and Laserhawks. We'll talk about that in just a minute. First, we're going to go through and see if there's anything extraordinary on the information portals. Okay, let's look at the most violent systems real quick. Then we'll go to corporations and alliances, and then we'll move on to talk about Wormhole space. Oh, interesting. So the most violent regions in the last 24 hours are Delve. I'll have to find out what's going on there. It could be anything. Maybe we'll drill down on that in a minute. Let's get to most violent systems in the last few minutes. Okay, looking at most violent systems in the last 3 hours, if anything is going on. It doesn't look like anything is going on that's bigger than 50 ships, essentially. But just for clarity's sake, in nullsec, JTAC-Z in Innsmother has 55 ships destroyed. Number 2 spot is GE-TAC-8, which has 44 ships destroyed. That's in catch. And also in catch is SV5 TAC. And that is 21 ships destroyed there. That may be part of the same fight. Let's have a quick look at the closeness of those systems. GE looks to be in the middle of catch, and GE, that is the one that I just hit, isn't it? Whereas SV5, yeah, they're not related. They're not right next to each other, so those are two different fights. Maybe the same fleets, but two different fights. What just happened there? Okay, let's get back to where we were. So that's just the last 3 hours. Not much going on there to speak of. But the last 24 hours, you have Ethereum Reach, which is the system LXQ2 is the number 1 spot, with 228 ships destroyed, 127 pods destroyed. Let's have a quick look at that. That is Brave. Sorry, that is Pandemic Horde space. We'll have a look at that battle, see if it was one battle or several, and if it has any significance. All I see is small stuff over the last 24 hours. Well, here's a extra squishies, a Redeemer, Dreadnought. Let's see if there's anything related to that. Let's try that again. Yeah, okay, so there was a fight. Looks like 168 versus 27. It's not much of a fight. Oh, I see. So a fleet kind of came in on, a Pandemic Horde fleet, probably a defense fleet came in on, which looks like Solaris. They're on the same side, though, so that must have been just for fun. Oh, it's Razor. That's who it is. Solaris just got on there, the wrong kill side. So it looks like a Razor fleet of Jackdaws probably took on this big target here, extra squishies, Redeemer, Dreadnought, or there's actually an industrial ship here. Let's see if that industrial was carrying anything. Not really. So a couple small fleets. No big, nothing big and nothing that's going to have a lasting impact. That's just a fleet. And that was happening again in the home of Brave, which is Ethereum Reach LXQ2. So second on the most violent systems in nullsec is GE TAC. And we were just talking about that in Catch. And that is 163 ships were destroyed in the last 24 hours with 81 pods. Let's take a second look at that. This time we'll look at it through the kill boards to see if there's anything going on there. That looks like an ongoing struggle then, and it's still going on since it's there was something going on there just 3 hours ago or less. Yeah, that's this first batch here. It's Brave Coalition defending. There is that a Redeemer? No, it doesn't look like it, is it? Nope, that's an Abaddon. Just too small for me to see. Well, I don't see the target here, but maybe somebody could tell us why they're fighting in Brave territory. So it's been going on for at least 24 hours. Again, it's not huge. It's only 220 ships destroyed. And that is not considered a lot in EVE Online. Okay, so that's the first spot. Second spot, the third spot is Venal in PFK. I do think there are some keep stars that are going to be under attack quickly. Actually, let's move on to the timer hub real quick. Yeah, in Deckline there was a bunch of stuff destroyed yesterday. They were under 24 hours to be destroyed. So I imagine that those iHubs, if destroyed, opens up the structures in those systems, opens them up for attack in a much simpler way. So there is definitely some stuff going on in Deckline. And I'll see if I can get some more information on that. All right, let's move over to LowSec, where we just had a podcast on LowSec and the war in Tama. So you can get more information on all that there. Morning, Tiberius.
Good morning.
Oh, I don't have headphones on. I knew there was something different.
It's almost to the end of the week, so understandable.
Yeah. Okay, I can hear you now. So let's see. Most violent system. Did you say something just now about the end of the week?
Yeah, I said it's towards the end of the week, so understand. Brain stops working.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, just going through some stuff here. Low-sec systems, the number 1 spot, Tama, with 105 ships destroyed. Rancer is number 2 at 29. And at number 3, Jan. All those systems are usually target heavy. Jan being in Lone Trek, and that is on the border of nullsec region. It's also a very heavily industrialized system because of its jump proximity from Jita, but also its jump proximity to Tribute. I think it can even reach Vale, but also has a really nice range in the north in general. So Jan is a favorite of industrialists. Rancer, the number 2 spot, is storied pirate choke point between trade hubs. And Tama, again, we have a podcast on this, so you can get more information on it, but that is low sec to high sec gate, I believe, and it is near trade hubs, faction war. Yes, it is, and it is on the verge of high sec. So it is your entrance into a very, very chaotic low sec area. So that's always camped and there's always fighting going on there. So those are standard places. Okay, and in the last 24 hours, you have roughly the same Tama, 500 ships destroyed in the last 24 hours. In Metropolitans, in the number 2 spot is in Metropolis is Flosis win with 316 ships destroyed. And in Black Rise, again, back to Black Rise, you have a Nulari, or an Alluri, and that is 140 ships destroyed. Those are not too big, but this Metropolis one is a little bit interesting. Let me, just out of curiosity, low sec is going to be a variety of fights. I don't usually see big fights or wars or remnants of war. In those systems, you usually just see a lot of activity, people running around, bumping into each other, trying to fight. But occasionally you do, and 300 merits a look to see if it's a variety of people. Looks like Ashra Khan is taking control of that area and has been killing a lot of people in it. But they are trading back and forth, and that makes me think that it's more or less gate camped or roamed. So I wouldn't say that, and it is faction warfare, I believe, in that area. Let me double check the map on that. Yeah, Amarian versus Minmatar. Actually, this is really close to this. If you look at them, let's see, we zoom in here. It's really close to an active area in Metropolis. Yeah, and this is, where is it? Yeah, Secede here in Hamatar. Oh no, this isn't what I was thinking it was, but it is. You can see there's these little pockets of constellations, and that's where people like to make their homes. And so you do have a pirate group or a low-sec group will want to make their home in these kinds of areas because they can control the entrances to these pockets. And that allows them to have, to a certain degree, an alert system if somebody's coming into their area. And so you will see people fight over dominance of these types of areas in low-sec and even in null-sec, especially NPC null-sec. And so Flossus Win is an entry point to that constellation. And let's see what that constellation is called. UGD in Metropolis constellation. Flossus Win is the entry system to that. And then right next to it, you have Ardar. Actually, that's a favorite system of mine. But Fristorn is an entry system into the constellation of Essen. And Essen, like its neighbor UGD, is a nice little pocket to make your home in if you're a low-sec group. Okay, let's move on to we're going to go to the most violent systems here and see if there's anything going on in Highsec now. And it's the usual Udama choke point between trade hubs is number 1 with 300 ships destroyed. And that's in the last 3 hours. The last 24 hours, 788 ships have destroyed. In Jeddah proper, 282. That's the second spot. And in the third spot, Uitra, also in the Forge, Uitra. And that has 472 ships destroyed. Now that's funny. That's interesting. This doesn't work for, the way that it's calculated on Dotland does not work for Highsec because it calculates the pods in addition to the ships that are destroyed. So you will have a low number at number 2, like Jeddah today, has 282 ships destroyed, but it has 323 pods destroyed. So you add those together, and that's what puts it in the number 2 spot. That's not really, I guess that's fine. And then the number 3 spot, you have more ships destroyed, but many, many fewer pods. Uitra is number 3, and it has 472 ships destroyed with only 6 pods destroyed. That's interesting. There's so few pods are destroyed here. That tells me, of course, it's Highsec, so people don't want to destroy pods and reduce their standings dramatically. If you kill a ship, you lose a little bit of standing. If you kill a pod, you lose a lot of standing. So if you pod people regularly in Highsec, it will be a matter of hours before you're at -10 standing, which means you're killed on sight in Highsec. So generally, if you'd like killing things in low-sec or Highsec, you don't kill the pods, you let those go, and you just take the small standings hit for attacking ships. And that way it takes longer to get down into a territory where the local authorities, the NPCs, attack you on sight. But when you have 6 pods out of 400 destroyed, that tells me there's something more arranged going on. But who knows? Anyway, that's Highsec. NPC systems, it looks like in the last 3 hours, you have Oasa and Delve. This is just going to stay the same, so we may start skipping this area. But Oasa and Delve are definitely battling it. Oh, Oasa is really dominating recently. You have Delve and Aquarius in 2 spots of the top 10 for NPC kills or ratting. And the rest is Oasa. So Oasa is still on fire. Still on track to be the most dominant NPC group in the monthly economic report when it comes out. And February just closed, so that's the one we're looking for. Delve didn't really start competing till the end of February, so they probably won't show up until the March numbers are in at the end of the month. Okay, so again, I'm being asked what's happening in Tama. There's stuff happening in Tama. I refer you to the podcast from Talking in Stations that came out yesterday. That actually just came out today. Let's have a look at that real quick. And it is the Squids Weighs In. So check that out. I just realized there's something I need to fix. We'll just do that for now. Okay, so check out that podcast, The Squid Weighs In. It's an interview with the stuff that's going on in Tama. Yeah, I'll post that link for you now. But you can, this is the Talking in Stations podcast, so you can get that at your, wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay. I think we're done with most recent, most active systems. So let's go to the corporations and alliances. This is interesting. TESS did lose a corporation. When I said yesterday, or the last time I did this, I think it was yesterday, that TESS lost 1,000 and that was probably just inactives. That was an assumption. What I've been told since is they actually lost a corporation. So let's dig into there. I didn't bother to look. These alliances are so big that when they drop 1,000, it's not that big a deal. So I didn't think to look, but we're going to look today. So to see who's left in alliance, you would click on the alliance in Dotlan and go to former corporations and arrange their joined and left dates. You should arrange the left dates to the most recent date. And you can see now that 1,000, pretty much 996 accounts moved to Federation of Mafias, and that's a new alliance. And that's the group that left. The corporation was called Brand New Bros. So we'll click on Brand New Bros and see what they're about. Brand New Bros is a laid-back, new bro-friendly, close-knit PvP, PvE exploration industry corporation in a brand new FAM alliance focused on recruiting new bros and new bro sympathizers. So this seems like very much a new person's group. So if you're just starting EVE Online, you might want to check these guys out. They have a public channel in-game, which I wish I could describe how you pick up a channel, but you'll just have to figure that out. And the channel name is Brand New Bros. They also have a Discord, and I will put that link in this chat. Yeah. And it's basically TESS version of Horde and Karma Fleet, I'm hearing from Stookies. And that's interesting. So I guess they're separating out their very, very new group of people. And you can see it just started. It's getting some space in Vale. Vale is an interesting place. Now, I don't know if these guys are still affiliated with Test. I mean, well, I would have to get that verified. It makes sense, but these are brand new guys, and they are in Vale. And Vale is a pretty dangerous area right now. So somebody's installing them, probably. Yeah, I think they left Test, but I have to find out if they're still friendly, if they have blues, and we'll have to figure out their diplomatic situation. Again, the alliance is called Federation Alliance of Mafias, and FAM for short. And the corporation was brand new bros. What was it? The big corporation is brand new bros, as opposed to brand newbies, which is a different group. So there you go. New alliance on the map in Vale of the Silent. They're breaking off of Test. We'll have to find out what their diplomatic situation is. I think that's kind of exciting, though, taking a new group into Vale and trying to survive there is pretty exciting. Expect them to get farmed pretty hard by the neighbors, who are all veteran alliances. But that could be made fun on both sides as well. Okay, and everything else we've covered in the last 7 days, so none of the statistics have changed. There is a new note here. The Alliance Darkness has lost 927 members. That's a lot for that alliance, and that is the lead alliance of Dead Coalition, which just collapsed and continues to collapse. It is down to less than 1,000 members now, 50% of what it was. And that is Darkness, the Alliance. The Coalition is much worse off than that. Silent Company, there was a break from Silent Company recently. Let's have a look. The Silent Company, again, I'm still trying to get more information on Silent Company. I haven't had a good talk with somebody that knows about them. They're a massive, massive alliance in Highsec. And they have over 12,000 members now, and they had more before. But there's a group that just left them. It was over 1,000 members of Incompetent and Proud, in camp for short. And they just left, and there was a political disagreement, I believe a leadership disagreement. So where did they go? They are probably a free agent right now. It's 1,000 guys in there. It looks like in the past February 10th, they lost about half their membership. I wonder what happened there. These are not groups that I know that much about, but I'm really eager to find out. So Silent Company loses Incompetent and Proud. I believe I saw some information on that was that it was a disagreement where the corporation could no longer abide by what the alliance was either advocating or doing. Oh, the War Deck exploit might show that big drop, but it did the War Deck thing is over, so I wonder what happened there. Yeah, and the exploit for the War Deck that we talked about before, that has been fixed, just so everybody's clear. That was a problem a few weeks ago. It's no longer a problem. By the way, here is the New Bros Discord in case you guys want to join. And I don't know why I did that. Anyway, you will find it. Okay, thanks for giving me information. It's hard to check information while I'm on the air. I have to read information before I go on air. Otherwise, it's me reading for a while, which I don't mind. The idea of this actually was for you guys, for me to wake up in the morning, look at where the pieces are on the board of EVE Online, and sit here silently while I look through all the stuff and have you guys kind of join me in that. But it's hard for me to come on the air and waste your time, so I want to give you as much information as fast as I can. So the original idea of you guys watching me research what's going on in EVE Online went out the window, and it turned into a morning show where I try to give you updates on what's going on, and I invite you guys to tell me what's going on. All right, Tiberius, I'm tired of talking. You have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. Actually, so there's looking to be a huge throwdown with some with Inner Hell, Laserhawks, Hard Knocks, and it looks like the Initiative
The
as
Initiative.
well. Yeah.
That's it. We had heard that Inner Hell was going to work. Inner Hell was doing something that would be newsworthy, and it involved
The
nullsec.
Initiative.
So,
Yeah. So Initiative is sorry. There's NC, and all of a bunch of other groups. So Whole Control, Hard Knock Citizens, Inner Hell, Laserhawks, Acer, NC. I said that, and they are in it are evicting scary wormhole people.
did you say NC Northern Coalition or
No, Northern Coalition?
you're
Yeah.
kidding?
No, I'm not. I don't know if maybe these guys are just like coming along for the ride, but there are technically people here on and yeah, there's one character here from NC, but my guess is that they yeah, they are that this is going to be a big fight because for those who don't know, Scary Wormhole People is Exuki's core. And isn't Exuki at
Iceland CSM Summit?
yeah, aren't they at the CSM Summit this week?
He is.
Yeah, so this is a super shady maneuver that they would do something like this because they yeah, because Exuki has said before in some of his podcasts that he's had issues trying to organize some of his groups, and this kind of like permeates all through Wormhole space and even some in nullsec a bit too. Is like sometimes it's hard to organize people in order to get content and stuff like that. But if your like big boss leader man is gone and can't get to a computer because he's occupied while traveling, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. So I suspect this is going to be a slaughter. There's going to, I would imagine this fight's going to end up being like close to 200 to 300 billion easy for this.
Yikes.
Yeah. So they started the timer today, which means that they're most likely the armor timer will be tomorrow, and then the final hull timer will be Saturday. I don't know if I don't know how Scary Wormhole people have their timers time zone tanked, because right now the current meta is to time zone tank against Inner Hell. Because they're the ones who are evicting, but because they have a bunch of U.S. time zone groups with them right now, I'm wondering if that's the reason why they brought a whole bunch of people with them. So I don't know exactly when it'll come out. It'll probably between 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. Eastern is my guess is when it's going to come out, because that time is usually the reason why they're doing it so early is because Inner Hell wants to participate on it, and late U.S. time zone is like the next day for Russia. So 12 a.m. U.S. time zone would be like, or 12 a.m. Eastern time would be like, I think it's like 7 or 8 in the morning for them, or maybe a little bit earlier. So the Russians would be up pretty late, but it would be like Sunday early morning for them.
Yeah. Now, on February 26th, we got word that something to keep an eye out. This is that TD I'm going to call them scary wormhole people, TDSIN. We're going to be targeted for eviction next week. And that was all the way in February, so it went a while longer. Exiki claims it's a coincidence that they're attacking while he's at CSM because they've been expecting this attack for a while now. So it may not be a coincidence, but it's no surprise, nor is it a big deal, nor has it affected their defensive plans that he's in Iceland.
Regardless, it's going to be one interesting fight. I'm really curious to see what their doctrine's going to be and how they're going to deal with it. It's interesting that they're using Munins this time instead of Ikaturses, because the last time that Laserhawks and Interhell last time Laserhawks, Interhell, and Hard Knocks teamed up, they were using a combination of their Lokis and their Ikaturses. And the Alpha Doctrine that they were using, the Macarials, Faxes, and Carriers, actually made them bleed pretty hard in terms of ISK percentages. They didn't kill a whole lot of ships, but they were able to even the playing field in terms of ISK early on. But unfortunately, they prevailed. But they were the Carriers were able to alpha strike through most of the Ikaturses that got too close, and the Macarials were able to basically force off the Lokis within their optimal range because obviously the Macarials outranged the Lokis. So I'm interested to see what they choose to defend with, especially since TD Sin lives in a 5 static 5. So it's obvious. Obviously, you see on the kill board there that Hard Knocks has a couple of dreads. So I wonder how many other dreads that they actually have in there.
From what I hear, they have 100 plus inside the home. So they have 100 invaders inside the hole, and they're anchoring a fort and other Astra houses. So it's going to be a siege.
Yep.
And it actually started today on the 5th. So yeah, today's the first day. But they have been setting this up for a few weeks now. What's surprising to me, this isn't surprising, except that Interhell really couldn't take on Scary Wormhole people by themselves. According to Scary Wormhole people, it would take twice as much as Interhell could put out to take them out. It becomes a more interesting proposition when you add Hard Knocks and Laserhawks, but even then. But what's interesting is that you're seeing Nullsec get roped into this in the form of Initiative and maybe even Northern Coalition to also do this. And and at that point, you have to wonder if Scary Wormhole people, which is a very, very big alliance or corporation inside of Wormhole space, can survive.
Oh, they'll survive for sure. Like they
well, they'll be evicted or they'll be eviscerated inside the hole. Whether they,
they'll be. I would be curious to see if they can repel them. Unfortunately, the way that it works with evictions is that right now the attacker has the advantage in terms of how sieges go. So because they have whole control of their static 5, they will be able to get in as many reinforcements as they can, whereas TD Sin cannot. The only thing that would throw a wrench in this plan would be if a frigate wormhole spawns. Currently, I think and I'm sure you've talked to people about this before, but frigate wormholes are basically unrollable. The mass regenerates faster than you can put on the hull because you can't use rolling Hicks anymore in order to use the jump mass trick. So that's the only thing I could really see that throws a wrench in the plan, because if Interhell is bat phoning in it and C, I would imagine that TD Sin, Scary Wormhole people, are also going to use a nullsec bat phone for themselves, and they could easily, if a frigate wormhole spawns, they could easily get 300 interceptors into the hull and pass them out caps, subcaps, and everything else like that.
Yeah. Now, the thing that's interesting is that their leader, Exuki, who's also part of Talking in Stations, is now very well connected with CSM members, and he's actually with them now. So you could imagine that he, with his relationships with them and his diplomacy, be able to call in his own nullsec powers, I guess, to help.
He could easily broker a deal, easily broker a deal. And there's plenty of guys that would love to just participate in a fight like this. This is going to be a 500-man fight easy, if not more.
And this is inside Wormhole space, which is unusual because the systems themselves are not typical in that they have bonuses and nerfs inside the systems that make things work better or worse. Do you know what the nature of their hole is?
Yeah, I'm actually looking that up right now.
Oh, okay.
What their J code is.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I think it's with nullsec getting involved, it's more than your typical big wormhole fight.
So they have a vanilla hull, which means that there are no extra effects. It is a class 5 with a static 5 system. They have it does have wandering, nullsec, lowsec, and highsecs, which is probably how they got the capitals in, was through the wandering, lowsec, and nullsec.
What those have more mass usually?
Yes, yeah. So they a wandering nullsec and lowsec through a high class wormhole, which is static 5 or a class 5 or class 6, allows for capitals to jump through. I believe you can fit. I haven't lived in 5 or 6 space in a while, but I believe you can fit at least 2 capital ships through it.
Mm.
So if they've been doing this for weeks, that means if they've been planning for this for weeks, that means that they've seeded, I'm sure, at least a couple of freighters worth of stuff to pass out to people in terms of doctrine ships. And they've got a bunch of capitals that they've already got ready.
Thanks for telling us that. Okay. Well, what do you think is going to happen? I'm in a really bad position to predict.
So, because they have the jump on TD Sin, my guess is that it's either going to be a really close fight, or if a frigate hull does not spawn and they can't gain hull control over their static 5, it's either going to be a really close fight, or Inner Hell is going to win, or the I don't even know what to call this little coalition of guys together. They're most likely going to win. If a frigate hull does spawn, the gig is up. Like this eviction is probably going to be over. They won't be able. They'll get repelled, and they're going to have trouble. I don't know what their plans are for getting wormhole control are. I don't know Exuki all that well. I don't run in the high class circles, but
You poor thing.
Yeah. A good person to ask though would be Laura Secco. My guess would be, but yeah, that from what I can tell, I'm not. It's any man's game at this point. It just entirely depends upon what their eviction defense fleet looks like, and how many pilots they can actually get logged in. Because what does it say their members are at right now? It's like high 400s, I think.
Let's have a look. I think we can find that information on EveWho or Dotland is probably the easier place. So TD Sin. Dark Space Initiative is their actual alliance, but Scary Wormhole People is the alliance. The corporation is TD Sin. And as far as the corporation size, well, the alliance size is 462. No, that's the corporation size. So that's probably their strength, 462. That's a lot.
So normally with Wormhole Corps, the number that you see is not necessarily the number that is actually going to undock, obviously, because people have alts and things of that nature. A good rule of thumb as to their max strength numbers that they can field is like anywhere between a third to a half.
Mm-hmm. And that's still very large for a corporation.
Right, yeah. So TD Sin by themselves could field anywhere between 150 to 200 dudes on their best day, and their best day is coming up on Saturday. Yeah. So hopefully they can field that many guys.
Again, most alliances that live in wormholes, they can only grow to a certain size because of the logistic challenges of being inside of a wormhole. In other words, if you have a large population in a small hole, you have to be able to find ways to have them rat and make money, and so they need to spread out to do that. But the constraints of wormholes and constantly changing systems makes that a bit challenging. So they naturally will only grow to a certain size. And also there's a huge trust factor inside of wormhole space because the stakes are a lot higher. At least it used to be with pauses, you had people could easily steal stuff. So it has to be a lot more trust in wormhole space than in nullsec, let's say. But now with structures, it might be a bit different because permissions have been changed, and also other permissions have been changed to allow corporate leaders to seal people off from doing certain things. Now, I don't know if it's changed dramatically, but wormhole groups have been getting a little bit larger. I'm not sure exactly why. It could be the mechanics changes, or it could be just behavioral changes from players. But in general, wormholes are populated by corporations, not alliances, but corporations, and they're usually pretty small. Scary Wormhole people, TD Sin is one of the largest wormhole groups there is, and that's why you have so many people coming at them at the same time. Nobody else could really get as many people as they can online at the same time. So somebody's asking us to live stream it. We will, if it comes out at the right time. It would be cool to live stream a lot more. Would you guys like that? Let me know.
So I know for a fact that Inner Hell is most likely going to be streaming this. I'm sure there's going to be
from initiative.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of streams that get in there, and I'm sure if you ask nicely enough, it's good publicity. I'm sure maybe they'll let you get a character in, and you can just park it off of the.
All right, we'll try to stream it. There's no promises. There's a lot of, especially wormhole space. There's a lot of, even with the best will from the groups, they have to barricade the entries into the system to contain the fight. It's like there's a bar fight, and the guys that are fighting lock the doors. And so if you want to come in and watch and report as news, they're not likely to open the door to you or anybody. So it takes a lot of dancing around. And then once you get in there, if it's a bar fight with locked doors, you don't want to get clobbered with a bottle and get knocked out. In other words, destroyed, because then you lose your vision of the place. And that's just how it works. But we can try. We can try to do that. And absolutely, I've sent a message to CCP that they should they want publicity and live streaming, they need to make the reporters immune. The problem is, at some point, somebody will abuse that and be feeding intel and or some sort of betrayal of trust that CCP gives a player. And as soon as that betrayal of trust happens, you kind of ruin it for everybody else that's trying to be a reporter. So it's hard for them to pick people that they can trust that won't screw it up for them in one way or another. But it would be great, all that said, that if CCP could determine groups that are willing to stream fights, to come in as a third party and to commentate on the wars, on the conflicts, and that kind of stuff, I think that would be fantastic.
Real briefly, I would like to, there was a comment on your stream. The guy had said that this looks like Heaven's Angels in a wormhole. This is not Heaven's Angels at all. Inner Hell is a Russian corp that has been around pretty much since the inception of wormholes. I can't remember the name off the top of my head as to what they were before. But they've been around in wormholes and only wormholes for a very long time. They are no way affiliated with Heaven's Angels.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the information that we have now. It's going to be exciting to count down to this. We'll try to get you more information on it too. I do want to address, there is something inside of Reddit that I should just address to the best of my knowledge. And that is this Breaking Pandemic Legion disbanding is a rumor, and it's not even a rumor, it's just a meme. So you can just ignore that. I've been getting questions on it. So we'll just put that to rest. It's a meme. That's the best information I have on it. Looking at this real quick, there's some stuff about CSM, although when they're having their summit, they're not really vocal about any substantive stuff. You might see some social stuff, but not substance. So we don't know what's going on at the CSM summit, what they're talking about. We do know the FanFest is canceled. There appears to be, we had the guy in charge of Eve Media now is CCP, why am I drawing a blank? Spider is now in charge of communicating with groups like mine, which are news organizations. So he's kind of in charge of being the conduit between CCP and the media base, the players that talk about the game. And from what I understand, they're looking into this week, they're talking about possibly having a streamed FanFest because they have a lot of material they want to announce, but now they don't have a platform to announce it because the convention's not happening. They may actually just stream some version of the convention for people to watch at home. And this may not be unusual in the future as this virus tests our society. We have the ability to be in the same space without actually being biologically in the same space. Therefore, we can't infect one another, but we can all tune into the same thing and watch it. And it's an interesting thing to watch how people will maneuver around this this virus that is breaking out into the open again. So it'll be we might see something along the lines of announcements made through a stream, and you might see some improvements. It looks like Eve TV is coming back. Fleabix, I forget. Fleabix was hired for this community team for CCP recently, about a month or two ago, and he's now just come out and said, I can now say that my job is to bring Eve TV back. And so the kind of stuff that we've been doing for 4 years now, the stuff that Twitch allows through TweetFleet, or what TweetFleet has been doing, that may all get formalized with a whole CCP effort to stream and to show fights and to really show off the game and to do interviews with people. Who knows what Eve TV is going to look like? But in the past, it's been pretty cool, pretty polished. So we'll see what that looks like. May put TIS out of business. All right. Well, that's all I got today. Is there anything else you guys have? Well, we'll just cut it off here, and we'll go ahead and raid somebody. Let's have a look at who's out there. Torvald, he's a friend of the show. So take care. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, Tiberius, for hanging out with me.
Yep.
All right, here's the raid. We'll see you tomorrow.